Pow, 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 pow. Hi. Hey, everyone.
Hello.
It's
Oh,
us.
nice, wasn't it?
A little bit, just a little bit. Hi, I am DM Dan. We are the Explorers of Elsewhere, and this is Elysia Rising, a Blaze in the Dark campaign.
Hi.
Hi. We all
Hello.
good? We all good?
Yes.
Yeah. We rested and recuperated after a bit of a rocky episode 10.
Maybe.
I mean,
Question
Megan
mark.
is. Frida, maybe not so much.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I don't know. Frida looks totally chill and relaxed with that zero stress.
Zen. She is Zen.
Yes. Yeah, she is in a point of like emotional balance. But yes, stuff certainly went down. I'm sure it will have no further ramifications on the campaign. I'm interested to see what the next job is that's awaiting you all. So shall we jump into it?
Yeah, go on then.
I'll go on then.
Yeah.
Welcome to Elysia, the jewel of the north. On our gilded streets, fortune and fame can be found by anyone.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I'm playing Magpie, an ace of our lurk.
Hi, I'm Nate, and I'm playing Cavern, a dragon-scent slide.
Hi, I'm Meg. I'm playing Frida, a wolfkin cutter.
Hi, I'm JC, and I'll be playing Algernon, an Ace of our spider.
And my name is DM Dan. I will be the games master on this adventure.
So come on in and marvel. Beautiful views we have to offer, and don't mind the ghosts. They're friendly, really. Grab yourselves a seat and make yourselves welcome in the city of Elysia.
The past can be one of the greatest teachers of today's lessons, forming the basis for the teaching and learning of knowledge. Being able to understand what has come before has a profound effect on what will come to pass. The War of Heavens, for example, has taught the people of Elsewhere what the horrors of such a violent schism can look like and what stands to be lost. But it also reveals positive moments and allows all who recognise them to cherish them more greatly. However, this transfer of power does not always happen freely, as there are those who attempt to interfere with lessons from history, either subverting its truth or preventing it altogether. They say that those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat its mistakes, but some may want to hide ugly truths from the present, to pretend something never happened. And of course, there are those who wish things now would be as they once were, regardless of the ramifications of rekindling such ideas and memories. And so, we will flashback to episode 10's downtime to give Atta an opportunity to go for a third downtime if she so wishes.
I would like very much to spend a coin to try and reduce some stress so that I may not be a burden to my fellow team.
Sure thing. So you had already used your 2 downtimes, but you can purchase a third for either 1 coin or 1 rep. So you currently got 4 rep. The stash has coin. Others have coin if they're willing to lend. But yeah, how you're paying for your second stress resolution time?
I think folks were mostly okay if Atta pilfered a coin. I think we weren't aware of rep, and I think rep's quite important. That's so
sure.
Anyway, I'm taking a coin.
Sure. So coin from the stash,
please.
Okay, so the gang is down to 2 coin. The vaults are slightly empty as you paid to level up to a strong tier 1 hideout. But yeah, still enough to pay for a downtime. So, what's your indulgence looking like?
So I think given that Atta last time tried to reduce stress and then dropped an item at the hollow, which then, anyway, everything went bad. I think that she considers going back to the hollow to kind of de-stress with other ooky spooky people, but is embarrassed. So kind of does her more regular. I think maybe she goes up to Bubble, like as close to boundaries of Bubble as possible within like the areas that are reasonably unpopulated. Does that make sense? Like where the manor is?
Yeah. So, I mean, you probably won't want to go to the Vale's edge in the Ivory because there's loads of children of Ire stomping around. I mean, to be fair, you could pretty much pick anywhere else. I mean, it's really just going clockwise. You got Dusklin and Havenly, you got Rookridge, Waterside, Dustry Hill, Old Town, or Celestry.
Since we've got territory in Celestry and there's like a reason to go in that direction, let's go to Celestry. Sure. Celestry Bubble Edge.
In which case, at the edge of the Celestry, so you're in the sort of like the risen part of Celestry, because it's almost like it's effectively like a large hill, so it's almost like a 2-tier district. So you're like, whether or not you've been kind of tuning into them, there's kind of discussions from the artistes and the poets that live in Celestry and trying to use their art to try and create they're trying to use their musings to improve the life of those around, or just to wallow in their own self-pity, perhaps in exchange for coin. Yes, it's certainly a different vibe of the city in this part of Celestry. But are you just heading up to Vale's Edge and having a look?
Yeah, as incognito as possible. Like if there are lots of street performers, I act as though I am partaking of the street performers and edge myself ever closer to Bubble Edge.
So there are certainly like small crowds on the streets. When I say crowds, groups of no more than half a dozen usually, kind of stood around street performers of various professions. But as you kind of head closer to Vale's Edge, like looking up, you can see the smushed faces of the spectres just sort of like clawing their way across the surface of the Vale overhead. But as you look down to sort of like street level, it almost looks like they are other like members of the public, like strangers that you would pass in a street, just sort of like watching the performances the same as everyone else. It's only when you pay kind of close attention to it that you notice that they have no bearing on the physicality of the streets and buildings around them as they phase through matter as they kind of move around. But they almost seem more calm as they're like watching the art.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, roll me a 1 dice indulge vice of the back of your resolve.
That's the little button down. That's the dice.
Button on the left. Yeah, 2 dice on the left.
Yeah.
You have 6 stress, and it's a 1 dice roll.
Okay, let's hope it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I can't roll more.
Very good.
Oh, yay.
5.
Ooh.
Fantastic.
5. Okay.
Dan, for giggles,
yeah,
because nobody else has maybe taken them, Can I just bring out the soul glasses and just have a little peek at what the bubble looks like and what these spectres look like?
I think that's exactly what's happened, which has allowed you to drop all the way down to 1 stress. Yeah, it's... The veil... Like, looking around, you can see that there's just... It's curious. Up close, it's almost like you're staring into a bright... kind of white blue light that that kind of shifts and slides slightly from left to right, and you realize it's the concentration of the spirits that are pressed all the way up, the same as if someone were to hold a ball lantern up to a window that you are peering through. The veil itself is invisible to that. You realize you're not seeing the veil, you're seeing like the surface of all of the soul energy of the spirits following its curvature. And sort of like glancing over, you can see the motes of like soul light from all the various gathered patrons and performers on the street behind you. But yeah, you notice an almost kind of rhythmic movement within the spirits outside. So, seemingly in time with the performances. The violinist you can hear behind you. Very romantic. So, feeling much better, although I imagine your world is slightly more monochrome, given you had your soul slurped by a ghost when you were working with the Hollow. As you head back to the Ivory, to Cadwallader Manor, we'll snap to Algernon, because you spent a lot of money to upgrade the gang, to upgrade the crew, which means you're going to need some more. So where is the source of your next... What's the source of your next set of income? What's your next score? What lead you're thinking of following up on?
So whilst trying to scrape the dregs from his bottles of foresight, Algernon is thinking of the loose ends that have been left dangling in the last couple of weeks, and he's thinking about Magpie's encounter with the Raven and the mysterious invitation of the Lodge Reticent.
Okay, and, yes. Sorry, go on.
He thinks it might be time to RSVP.
So, does Magpie still have the letter, presumably?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so if this is the potential plan, Magpie, you are acutely aware that there is no there's an invitation, but there was no real kind of follow-up to how you would respond.
Absolutely unhelpful invitation. As invitations go, least helpful she's ever received.
Yes. But based off your conversation that you had with Algernon when you first received it, perhaps the only point that you could follow up on was the PS at the end.
Where were you
the night Algarve died?
Yeah. So I guess I'd kind of want to go with other people, probably one or two other people, to sort of check it out. Or maybe I could go on my own, just to sort of recce. Is that where I need to go to RSVP? Is there a secret place around there that the dinner's happening? But yeah, I'd want to check that out.
Okay.
And I'd also want to figure out with the crew who's going for the actual dinner, because the invitation was for me, but there was no +1 or plus crew. So I don't really know if I'm meant to go on my own or not.
So between the 5 of you, what's the plan? Is Maggie going alone, or are some of you joining, or
what do people think?
Reader's happy to go along as muscle if you need someone to
my bodyguard,
get you out of potential. Great.
And Catherine loves a party.
Yeah,
Let's just bring you all. It's okay if
We're all
Mike's coming. Yeah, I could do
I mean,
that.
we could always post ourselves strategically nearby, just in case
Yeah.
you do
So I
need
was-
some backup.
I was thinking we could use the earring to, if Magpie goes on ahead and tries to get a sense of if the others are welcome, but at least the others can be earwigging.
No. Sit in a pub nearby.
Sit in a pub nearby, exactly.
Okay.
And Frida will try really hard not to get in any bar fights, but no promises.
Okay, so sorry, is everyone going but just dispersed slightly?
We're all going,
Yeah.
but when we get close, they're all going to go sit in a pub, and I am going to do some lurky wrecking of the area.
Okay. In which case, as the five of you like carefully make your way to Spire Park, in a sense, almost heading directly into the belly of the beast. For those of you that haven't been since the Ruby Raising, the atmosphere of Spire Park is undeniably changed. Partly, you would be right to assume because of this kind of grotesque skeletal husk of what was once the Ruby Keep, kind of speared and skewered by these charred vines that had burst out of the floor. But also for the sheer tension between the roving bands of City Watch and roving bands of Children of Aya. As you kind of move through Spire Park, you notice that the bridge across the empty lake towards the keep is being being patrolled by Blackguard. And there seem to be very, very regular guard postings around the perimeter of the keep grounds. But they are standing almost inanimately, unblinking sentinels. Whilst none of them kind of turn their heads to regard you, you do kind of get the feeling that they are keeping a close watch. And Atta, especially you, realise that whatever it is they're seeing is completely. You now know what it is that they're seeing, and they are stood in a ring in a world of glowing soul orbs that pass to and fro. Is there anywhere sort of like in particular within Spire Park that you want to be going, Magpie, or are you just kind of like loitering around after you've kind of waved everyone off?
I mean, I guess it depends a little bit on what I see. So there's obviously the ruin of the Ruby Keep, which, because is Spire Park an actual park? There
is a park, like Unity Park.
There is a park, but then I remember there's also a square, isn't there?
So yeah, there's a large sort of like square in front of the keep with now a non-working fountain.
Okay, and is that where all of the Blackguard are pitched up, or are they more amongst the ruins?
So there's the square with the fountain. A little way off, there's like this bridge across what was like a mini moat along one side of the keep, and they're posted along the bridge and then like almost around the walls. But obviously the walls are charred and burned. The alchemical fire chewing through the rock as if it were paper.
I'm hoping I don't have to go into the ruins of the keep, because that feels horribly dangerous.
You do get the feeling that you wouldn't even get close.
No, exactly. No matter how good I am at lurking, I wouldn't get close. So
otherwise, there's the university, Like some of the university grounds are in Spire Park, but otherwise it's just large, broad, relatively bright and well-kept streets between these kind of large, expensive-looking, like, noble houses. Like the richest that can afford to live in the shadow of the keep kind of thing.
Does anyone have any ideas about where one would even begin to look?
Where is Magpie's other house? Like, where do you live? Is it in Spire Park? Like your noble house?
She never told you that.
I expect that family home is here though, right?
Yeah, it would be somewhere around here.
So in which case, I mean, you 100% know the streets, so if there's just like a particular street that you want to hang out on, or specifically streets that will run the least risk of you bumping into someone that knows your face.
Yeah,
I think Frida would have a bit of advice, I reckon.
Yeah, go on.
Knowing that, she herself has done many a job where she's had to act as lookout for clandestine meetings of other people. Like, meetings like this don't happen without someone being the muscle, and it is usually Frida that's the muscle. So I think Frida would advise you to look out for anyone who looks like they'd be burly and good in a fight, but also trying to blend in really nonchalantly.
So I guess you're thinking these people are just sort of going to be hanging around in one of these streets waiting for me, because I was wondering if it might be more that I could look out for secret entrances, or it could be that the entrance is disguised as something else, or I don't know, unless it's a rendezvous with somebody. That's the thing, the invitation didn't even say that, it just gave me a general location. So that's tricky, isn't it?
Well, as you're kind of dwelling on the advice that Frida gave you, as you're thinking, where on earth, like, should I go? Your thoughts are interrupted by the squeaky sounds of a child's voice. Excuse me, you hear.
Yes? Hello?
And you turn to see like a young Lorivar boy dressed in like a courier, like delivery type outfit, and like, these runners are all over town, especially as a lot of the adult couriers would have been kind of drafted to the war before Elysia was lost to the void. So now a lot of orphans act as couriers. Excuse me, are you Ms. Ravel?
I sort of look around to see if anyone's close by. I say, yes.
I have these for you, the boy says, and he holds two small envelopes with wax seals sealing them shut, that you immediately recognize the half mask of the Lodge Reticent.
I take them and thank him. What's the etiquette with these kids? Is it that you give them a couple of coppers for the trouble? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'll do that.
As you go to offer him the money, he puts a hand up and refuses it. And you notice like his fingers are quivering. And it's this point where, taking a closer look, you notice that his bottom lip is trembling slightly. His eyes, you thought they were just wide child eyes, but there's a distinct look of panic in his face.
I say, are you all right?
Yes, I just had to make sure that you got these invitations. You're expected at 7 o'clock.
All right.
And he nods, and we look forward to seeing you. And he sort of takes a step back, very kind of rigidly and over dramatically like bends at the waist to do a bow, and then sort of like his shoulders slump. He's still got this look of almost abject terror on his face, and then he just sort of like runs, like breaks off into a run away from you, catching the attention of some guards, like some of the city watch, that presumably assume he's up to no good.
Oh no, the poor child. Okay, so I'm probably gonna find a quiet place to open my envelopes.
Okay.
A shady doorway or something.
Sure. So the envelopes open easily, revealing 2 invitations. To Ms. A. Ravel and Ms. A. Ravel's guest.
Guest singular?
Singular.
Okay, I'm going to go to the pub.
+1.
I'm going to go to the pub. Okay, so yeah, I'll find where the others are holed up. Okay. And I'll say good news and bad news.
So, when you bump back into them, the 4 of you, the other 4 of you, you've had some time with Frida. Has there been any topics of conversation we feel need to be discussed? Anything of note?
I'd love to know how Frida's carrying, like, herself, like, generally, like, body language. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say exactly the same.
I'd say Frida is looking quite like a cross between sheepish and extremely pissed off. Just, you notice that every time she takes a sip of her pint, she's sort of slamming it down onto the table, and she's sort of impatiently drumming her fingers on the table, and she's not exactly being very forthcoming with conversation, being quite, every sort of question that you fired her way so far has been quite, she's sort of answered with one-word answers. So, I mean, the 3 of you will, I guess it's a bit of the elephant in the room to see Frida's left cheek, like, really puffed up and swollen, with what appears to be a large knife wound, like knife slash right across, was it across the cheek, through the eye? Yep. Big old gash. So, in which case it's cheek and eye, so almost the whole of the left side of her face kind of swollen from the injury. And have you had someone put stitches to it, or? I mean, I assume so. I would hope so. Yeah, Frida has made a hasty visit to Jocasta to get sort of patched up, but it's not exactly the best work. No. So I imagine there's also wincing every time you take a drink, as your face has to contort to allow you to sip. Yes. But yeah. What are you lot making of it?
I think Catherine's just going to be sitting there and is just going to be staring at her, like, very non-approval of this whole situation that's happening with her face, but not really saying anything, because now that he's had a chance to get to know Jocasta, that he probably thinks that Jocasta's already, so...
Right, I can see you all staring, and I suppose you want to know why I've got a new facial decoration, right? Well, let's just say that I did something very stupid, and I feel quite stupid about it, and it was good intentioned, but it went wrong, and now I've got this, and there you go. You happy now? And then just sort of takes another drink and starts drumming her fingers on the table again.
Atta like slowly pushes some rat tail jerky towards you.
Thank you. Just starts chewing it furiously.
How's Algernon feeling now that you know that you've only got like tiny vials worth of foresight, enough to kind of bump you through scores, but certainly not enough to immerse yourself in anymore? How is Algernon's worldview right now?
I think since overindulging in the foresight, he's become like so juiced that he's struggling to know if it's the present or the future.
Time is a flat circle.
So hang on a minute. Am I just sitting here seeing you with a big gash on your face, you tweaking out, and you just looking a little bit hollowed out? And I'm just like, what have you lot been doing to yourselves?
Yeah, Ash's got that 1,000-yard stare.
Good lord.
And I can see that I'm not the only one that's been playing silly buggers recently either. I see the look in all your eyes.
Frida, please stop me if I've said this already, but in the intelligence corps, when one fails an espionage mission, we are chastised, we are demoted, we are punished. That's not what this crew is about. You've obviously taken a swing and missed. You failed. And that happens. So my advice is to get over it. Because the next pitch, the next bowler is coming. And if you're going to hit it for 6, you'll need to be at the top of your game.
Yeah. Thank you, Algernon. I needed to hear that. Oh, onwards and upwards, aye?
That was the most flowery walk-it-off speech I've ever heard.
But for now, don't mind me if I do a little bit of self-punishment. And again, she knocks back another drink.
So, as Frida says that, Magpie, you arrive, like you find the tavern that these 4 are at. It's certainly, as an establishments go, it's certainly a step up from your normal haunts. Everything's served in half measures. At double the cost, you notice, but the hired, like the tavern's own hired like security seem to be keeping a very close eye on that table of troublemakers over in the corner there. Specifically the Sangrevar, the Goblin, the Dragonborn, and the Wolfkin. That looks like she's just fought a mountain lion.
Okay, I'm gonna come up to the table, sit down and say, I've got good news and bad news. Good news, I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going, and I can take someone with me. Bad news, it's just one. And I sort of look around at the 4 of them and weigh up my odds with each of them, and I sort of look at Cavern and say, would you?
I think that would be for the best at this kind of situation, yes.
I think everyone else looks quite tired, so maybe you and I should take this one. No offence, guys.
My pleasure.
Hey, fair enough.
I need a silver tongue for this.
Yeah.
Algernon, another round. And Frida doesn't even wait for an answer. She just goes and gets more drinks for everyone.
Can I leave the earring with somebody?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a pair, right? So we would take one and they would have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will flash forward to 7 o'clock that evening. And the address in particular is a house somewhere. Is a house in kind of rather central Haveny. So the posher half of Haveny and Duskland. And whilst by comparison, Magpie, these aren't as grandiose as your own family home. It's clear that the residents of this place have done very, very well for themselves. Clearly, they made quite a lot of money, like before, maybe during the war. But yeah, the 2 years out in the void seems to have kind of led to a certain degree of neglect and degradation in upkeep. But the home itself is still stately. And your +1 is Cavern?
That's right.
Everyone else like huddled around the other earring, like earwigging in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we get like do we get like the prep part of the score, or we're going straight into the score?
This might be the prep.
Oh, I see.
Talking to them and finding out what's what.
Understood.
Yeah. So, as you, Magpie, how are you dressing? And Cavern too.
That's a really good question.
Like, are you going as Magpie or are you going as Mise Revel?
I reckon I'd probably get not my fanciest clothes, but my everyday real clothes.
Civvy clothes. Okay.
Civvy clothes, yeah.
And Cavern, you dressing up?
Dinner. We're going to dinner. Yeah, I'm dressing.
Well, no. I mean, I'll look nice. I'm just not going all out. Like, I'm not going to a ball. But yeah,
we could be. You don't know.
We might be.
I'm imagining Cavern's rocking a Shakespearean ruffle collar.
Oh yeah, lovely.
Just with his jacket on underneath, but just.
I mean, whatever is the fashion of Elysia at the moment.
Sure.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, we'll be dressed for dinner.
I like to believe there was a montage and Magpie coming out in different outfits.
Yes.
Maybe.
Love that.
In which case,
does that mean I took you to my house? Are we close enough for me to have taken you to my house? No, well, I mean, because my family is there.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
No, we went shopping for new clothes.
We went for new clothes. That's probably right. Yeah.
So the two of you, dressed up to the nines, approach this, just up to the 8s, maybe 7s, heads to this address, and you notice that, like stood at the front door can only be described is a quite a burly Laravar man who kind of rings as a kind of a chaperone cum bouncer, and like in a very kind of narrow but tall like top hat, suit with tie, white shirt, all of the fancy glam, and he watches you approach, like his low brow, like unmoving as he regards you, and as you approach, he very simply says, "Invitations, please."
We hand them over.
He checks he looks at them very quickly, looks from your invitation to you, Magpie, Cavern, the invitation to you, and then he turns and knocks on the door. With three steady knocks, the door opens and you're let in. I say the house is relatively upmarket, certainly by your standards, Cavern, but yet not kind of straying beyond the realms of like modest. It's a humble brag home, but you notice that the room that you kind of walk into is a living area that has been kind of converted into what appears like there's a dinner table set out, and you can see that there are a number of plates, 3 in particular, 3 plates, 2 on one end and 1 on its own on the other, and the concierge kind of gestures to the table and, if you please take a seat. The lady will be with you momentarily.
Mm.
And as the two of you take a seat, Magpie, you can see sort of like through the adjoining door into what appears to be like the kitchen area. And like stood against the wall is what appears to be a Laravar, like man and wife, and the young boy who approached you earlier today.
Okay.
And they appear to also be dressed up in fine rags. But they are stood silently against the wall, their hands clasped at their waist, all looking down at their shoes. And you can hear the sounds of like culinary preparation happening in the kitchen. And before long, a waiter, similar to like a chef, similar to those you would have at home, Magpie, emerges into the room carrying like a silver platter, and places it down on the table in front of the two of you. And then he lifts a fork and then gently ding, knocks it against a wine glass, before lighting the sole candle in the middle of the table. And as the chef like straightens, takes a few steps back, puts his hands across his waist and then lowers his gaze to his shoes, you see a Savar woman wearing what appears to be like a large hooded veil over her face enter into the room. She's wearing very rich, fine looking silks and like fabrics on her dress. You notice there's a lot of kind of gold ornamentation hanging from her, but most notably her left arm appears to be made of a blue lilac crystalline type substance, like a prosthesis. And beneath the veil, you notice that she wears what appears to be a silver mask in the shape of almost what appears to be like a fox's head. And she looks to you, pulls the veil from over her head, nods, and then takes a seat. It is so good that you could join us, Ms. Revel. And my apologies. You are, she says, turning to you, Catherine.
Catherine.
She nods. It's for this meeting on such unusual terms. You are both. You are a difficult person to track down, Ms. Revel. But I see that the company you travel with is as fascinating as you are. I trust this meeting, its discretion has been kept between ourselves. And as she looks at you, you notice like her eyes flash. There's an odd glimmer, like a shimmer across her eyes. And you notice that she's staring directly at the earring you're wearing.
No one outside of my crew knows, if that's what you mean.
Very good. I would have expected nothing more. Now, we can speak with our masks on if you so wish, or if you would rather, we can take that step to becoming more intimate with one another.
And what does that mean?
Would you rather Magpie or Amina?
Everyone just looks and goes,
I mean, the invitation was to Amina, so why bother with pretense? And you find me at a disadvantage, you are?
The woman smiles and takes her mask off and stares directly at you. Her eyes shimmer and you watch as these piercingly sky blue eyes shift in colour and redden to a vibrant blood red. My name is Nefani Rababella Valenmar. And Magpie, given your social status, you would know immediately that Nefane Ravabella Valenmar is the stepdaughter of Regentess Turia Valenmar, the previous leader of Elysia. The one who was chased out during the war.
Her stepdaughter.
Stepdaughter.
Okay.
Yes, the daughter of Lord Ravabella, but was adopted. Her stepmother's name, Valenmar, as well, as a double barrel. And as you kind of take in this, like, Catherine, you acknowledge that this Sangravar lady sat in front of you is pretty much as high up the tree as you can get. It makes you, like, you can't help yourself but gawp at the openness, the brazen openness with which she wears what appears to be a magical prosthesis in lieu of her left arm. She places this very ornate, delicate silver fox's mask down on the table between you and turns it. Please allow us to serve food. It is best consumed warm, she says. And with a slight turn of the head, the chef approaches and lifts the lid off the silver platter, and steam kind of rises out, and an aroma hits you that you've not smelt in years. Because on this silver platter in front of you are what appear to be 3 beautifully prepared birds. Small, perhaps sparrow-sized, but they look fresh, they look exquisitely prepared, they smell delicious. And for either of you that look up, you notice that Nefane is studying your reactions. What you each get one of these small kind of sparrow-sized birds onto your plate, along with an assortment of like mushrooms. But as you like, are you tucking in, or are you?
I'm probably a bit too stunned to immediately eat. Like, I probably look up, sort of stare at it for a bit, look at her, look at Cavern, until trying to decide if I'm going to say anything.
She smiles and, do not worry, it will not bite. And if you find it agreeable, we can source more.
I mean, that's exactly my reason for being surprised. Where are you sourcing animals.
There are secrets that I am willing to share, but there are some secrets, Lady Ravel, Ms. Ravel, that I am not willing to share, she says with a sly smirk.
I mean, to even keep them, you'd have to feed them, and to feed them, you'd need daylight, and there hasn't been daylight for 2 years.
There's a stoic, unmoving, a look from her with an ever so slight smile, like a knowing smile. Yes?
I mean,
you're right.
I've not had bird for 2 years. Not since the stockrooms ran out.
Then I would request that you relish every morsel of this creature. How's Catherine feeling about bird?
Sorry, could I catch her last name again?
Nephane Ravabella Valenmar. In the chat, if you want to have the full spelling.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think Catherine's going to also be quite shocked. Obviously he's not seen food like this for well over 2 years. Ms. Valenmar, is it Mrs? Please,
call me Nephane.
Nephane, of course. No Mr. Valenmar?
I'll kick you under the table.
Ow!
She disguises the smirk with a small bite of the breast of the bird.
May I ask what type of bird this is?
It was a sparrow that we kept. It is curious, isn't it? Once upon a time we would keep these beautiful creatures as household pets. And yet in such circumstances we find delight in their presence in other ways.
Magpie's gonna start eating.
Okay.
She's just gonna sigh and take a bite.
Are you partaking, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm partaking.
Yeah. Check your wings. In which case, as you start eating, like you see her nod, and then she's tucking in. And there's an odd kind of silence that the other three of you can just hear as Magpie's like eating, because you can hear everything she says. But eventually the three of you finish your small meals, and the chef immediately kind of comes up, collects your plates. As you watch him disappear into the kitchen, your attention is caught again by the family that stood in the kitchen, and you see the young boy kind of glance up to you, and when he notices you looking, his head snaps back. We have lost so much these past few years. Arguably, my family has lost even more in the years preceding that, she says. And she looks at you very directly, Catherine. There are many minds within the city that believe they know the best course of action for what is to come next. But some are too fearful to accept the golden truth. But the power of House Valenmar was beyond compare, and under the empowerment of the arcane, Elysia flourished. I suspect this is a truth that you are all intimately aware of, to be in the line of work that you are in. And so I seek an artifact that as of yet has been frustratingly out of my reach. I understand that you and your companions have certain sets of skills and certain interests that would align with the lodge. We wish you to venture into what remains of Castle Antelier in the Ivory. Most of the building now lies beyond the veil. Only the front part of it remains within the city. But from my gathered sources, I believe that the artifact with which we wish you to acquire lies on the side of life rather than death. The children of Aya will make acquiring this artifact more precarious, but we have faith in your skills from what we have seen and what my agent reports to me. She says, looking at you, Magpie, very specifically, that you will be able to circumvent those agents of faith in order to complete this mission. And if you do, then perhaps you will reap the benefits of favor from the lodge. But if you were to fail, whatever that may look like, you potentially stand to earn our ire. And I know what is preferable for me, and I would dare say I know what would be preferable for you.
What is this artifact?
It is an arcane focus that is hidden within a hidden vault beneath the keep. The specific location of the vault is as of yet unknown to me, but if you were to find it, I can give you the appropriate passwords in order to gain entrance. We require the safe and delicate delivery of this focus to one of our agents. I believe you have met him, Amina.
Mm-hmm.
And she gives you a knowing nod from that. Mm-hmm.
Not very talkative.
I would request urgency for the children of Aya become braver with every passing day. And I fear that before long they will drum up the courage to raise Castle Antelier, what is left of it, to the ground. All in their crusade for purity and piety. I'm sure that the two of you and your companions will have questions.
I'm sure we do have questions as a crew, says Magpie. I guess I'd have to also relay the basic details, so I'll kind of repeat back to her. So it sounds like you want an arcane focus from a hidden vault underneath House Antelier very soon, and that the children of Aya will probably be a sticking point. Have I got that right?
Yes.
And if we fail, that will be very bad news for you and even worse news for us.
That is an eventuality I would rather not explore.
But just so that we're being clear.
And you mentioned this being close to the Vale. Did you mention it being partly outside of the Vale?
So, I mean, certainly in your time at Cadwallader Manor, well, past few years, so Castle Antelir kind of dominated the centre of the Ivory. But when the Vale went up, fundamentally the back, sort of like 2/3 of it, was cut off, like the Vale cut through the keep. So the front of it is still within Elysia. The back half of it, you can still wander around, but then you're not protected.
But we need to get down into a vault, basically.
Need to get down into a vault.
One way or another. So I take it that Atta wanted to suggest I ask about the size of this object. Yeah, so I'll ask Nefene, how big is it?
Nefene sort of like gestures slightly. In this moment, you notice just how beautifully articulated the fingers of her, like her arcane arm are. But she gestures, and you know, it's about sort of like a 2-foot box.
Is she like someone who just got engaged, constantly showing off the ring? She's like, oh, it's about, yay, big. Look at my lovely arm. Ooh.
Well, you certainly can't tear your eyes away from it. It glows. It's crystalline in nature, and it glows ever so slightly. But yeah, she just seems completely nonchalant about it. But
so, how big did she say
that
roughly?
Arm is contraband. About 2 foot squared, 2 foot cubed.
So 2 foot cubed, roughly. Okay.
So it's certainly a 2-hand jobby.
2-hand job. Does anyone else have questions I can relay to Nefene?
Frida has a question.
Yeah.
What's the end goal here? Is she looking for a restoration of the House Antelir at the top? Is that what we're doing now?
Could you explain what Frida means by that, Meg?
So, by getting this, is she looking to restore House Antelir to the basically the rulers of Elysia again? You know, is that what this is going towards? What's her end game?
Oh, blimey, I don't know if I feel confident enough to ask her that outright.
Well, maybe it's just something that Frida's just like, sort of...
It's a good question.
Questioning aloud, like...
I'll
and is that what we want?
Yeah, I'll leave it up to each of you independently to decide on, like... She's not wrong in so much that before the War of the Heavens, like, arcane magic was freely used. Like, no one really batted an eyelid. Like, the only people that tended to batter an eyelid at them would be the more, like, divine spellcasters. But, I mean, some, perhaps more cynical, might suggest it's because arcane magic is self-perpetuating. It comes from within. Divine magic is gifted from the gods. But Elysia managed wonders with arcane magic. So the question is, like, when did the perception change? How much did the perception change when the war started? How many people truly believe arcane magic is bad versus people who were told arcane magic is bad? And did a war between the gods stoke those sentiments? But yeah, I mean, even in this short space of time, like, the fact that she's got birds to eat, like, clearly she has some sort of resource.
Yeah.
So she's not entirely wrong about, arcane.
Here's a good question. Is that a resource that she's looking to bring to the masses? Or is it something that she just wants to keep for herself, or the cream of the crop, as it were?
That question is for Magpie to decide whether to ask or not.
Yeah, these are all quite searching. This isn't really information for the score. This is more like questioning her intentions, which I could do a little bit of. I'm happy to probe gently.
We know what happens if we fail, what happens if we succeed.
Okay.
Is she strong-arming us into this, or is there something on the table for us?
So she has mentioned that you will have the favour of the lodge if you are able to do this for her. Okay. But you will not have the favour of the lodge if you do not.
Sure. Does the favour of the lodge involve any material benefit?
She tilts her head and it can do.
And
there is much that we have to offer.
You are clearly in possession of much arcane bounty, and I kind of gesture to her arm and the birds, and just sort of generally, and
I mean, it's also, I should point out, the two of you have both probably figured out that she herself is a spellcaster.
Sure.
Given that she seemed to have been magically disguising the colour of her eyes.
This focus that you seek, it's presumably designed to bolster your power or the power of the lodge?
She thinks on it, and yes. It focuses arcane power into a singularity, which will allow greater and more drastic effects.
You speak of how Elysia flourished under the previous regime. Is that what you seek to restore to the city? A flourishing, an improvement for the common folk?
Allow me to respond with a somewhat trite question. How do you feel Elysia has done with 2 years of no arcane magic?
I think the nature of our business and the very world we sit in should answer that question, Nephene. Of course, that's not in question. I'm asking, what are your intentions for the city, if I may be so bold?
Oh, good one. That's how you do it, Magpie! Get her right in the balls!
Thank you.
Off the back of arcane magic, Elysia rose to glory and prominence among the lands of elsewhere. With the reintroduction of arcane magic, then perhaps Elysia can rise again. For too long have we been in freefall. Imagine, if you will, an Elysia rising.
I said the name.
That's the name of the movie. Just had to give that a minute to breathe.
Right.
Okay. I can't lie. I have been lying awake at night, beside myself, thinking about the future of the city, of the people here. Do you think you have an answer?
She breathes in, she takes a deep breath and holds it, and then she turns to look at the two of you squarely. Yes.
And my eyes go to the gap in the door into the kitchen at that family, and I say, what about them in there? What are your intentions towards them?
They have been generous hosts, and once our matters of business are concluded, we will leave them be. And at that point, it dawns on you that this is their house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're being held almost prisoner in their own house.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have Catherine, did you have any questions for Nefene?
Does she have any sort of... I'm guessing that House Antelia is relatively quite big. Does she have any sort of guidance on where we need to go? Like, through that
castle Antelia. Yes, she was saying that she doesn't know specifically where the hidden vault is. She explains to you that some of the information that she has found has informed her of this great library within the castle building structure itself, that spans 3 floors. Like the first floor, the ground floor, and like the basement floor. It's this large open area library, lots of spiral staircases, columns of bookshelves, and so on and so forth. The information she informs you, it seems to be connected to that, and they know that is within the Vale. It's just, given that it is the library of House Antelia, as an organisation, there's going to be all sorts of now forbidden knowledges and practices and information within that library that is the sort of thing that the Church of Aya would want to set fire, to destroy. And it makes you and you think to yourselves of the ever-growing blockades from the Children of Aya to try and stop people kind of going into the Ivory, almost as if they're those forward bases, staging outposts for what you assume to be will be an attack on the Ivory.
Okay. Any other?
Nefene, if I might be so bold.
Of course.
You seem to have some quite capable people who work for you. Magpie has galed us with her communications with this gentleman in the Raven Mask. Why us, then?
The Lodge has many enemies. And as incredible as he is, the Raven only has 2 eyes. I must keep him very busy to ensure that we stay one step ahead of our rivals. And the 5 of you, as I say, have a set of skills that are impressive, and a track record of successful scores even more impressive still.
I would be interested to know what you know of us.
She smiles and bringing her crystalline arm off one by one. She reels off each of the scores that you've achieved since the death of Tavarian. It is a catalogued history of your activities. And Magpie, you realise that clearly the Raven has been watching you ever since Memorial Day.
You clearly know exactly who we are, so I'm slightly confused. Why come to me in my guise as a woman of nobility? Why not just approach us as a crew?
Just as I admire your strengths and power, I need you to understand and appreciate our strength and power.
Magpie gives a little wry smile at that and just sort of drops it, just sort of sits back.
Okay. Rita's like, yeah, I think she's got you by the balls this time.
Yes, it
Like-
very much seems like
Magpie already had clocked that, she was had by the bulls. Like that was not in question. But like her answer just made it really clear. This is like she's learned enough from Algernon to know that spies love swinging it in your face when they know stuff about you.
Yes. I mean, Algernon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate this blackmail?
This is pretty good. This is an 8.
Yeah, gotta hand it to him. It's pretty good.
Yes, it does seem like pretty good blackmail, but at least she, unlike Dorothea once upon a time, there is a genuine sense of like, oh, you'll get something out of it if this goes well.
Yeah, it's
Whereas
not
Dorothea
just
was just like,
do it,
was just a
and
stick.
I don't. Yeah, exactly.
There is a carrot.
There is a carrot. Excellent.
Or a bird in this case.
or a mushroom. Yes. Right. I think we can go. I think we're done here. Ooh.
Question from the crowd.
Does the lady anticipate anybody other than the children of Ire to interfere?
Okay. I will ask that question of Nephi.
Sure. She responds no, as irritating as the children of Ire are, they do seem to be doing a relatively good job of blockading, and the sheer kind of superstition that's either like naturally ingrained in everyone, or that has been stoked and kind of embiggened by all of the kind of Church of Ire like lectures and preachers and sermons. Like, people just don't really want, like, it is a cursed place. Like, it is the home of a House Antelier. They are the baddies, and there was lots of ooky dooky spooky stuff, and it's half of it, like most of it, sticking out into the Vale. Like, no one wants to go there. It is the closest to a haunted house this city's got.
Sure. Sounds fun.
Sounds fun.
Okay.
Sounds like a good time.
It's a great time. We're going to have such a good time. Okay. I think we're done here.
Okay. So, as you kind of make your excuses, your pleases and thank yous, the chef, takes everything away, and so Nephene stands, nods to you. She places the silver mask back on her face and pulls her like hood and veil back over her head. And as she kind of pulls her head back, you notice that like her eyes are concealed by these kind of reddy pinkish gems for eyes, identical to those of the Raven's mask. And she gives you a nod as she pulls a traveling cloak over her shoulder, disguising her arm. Puts on a glove, and then with a nod, herself, the concierge at the front door, and the chef leave.
So wait, sorry. They've all left before us, or
so you choose to go. Like they kind of sort themselves out. They bid you farewell, and like she gestures a hand to the door to allow you to leave before them. But it's clear that they are leaving right now.
Okay. I'll probably glance through into the kitchen at the little kid and his parents, and I'll sort of just give them as compassionate a look as I can. Did the chef look scared at any point, by the way?
Nope.
Or the concierge? Neither of them?
Nope.
Okay. I'll probably, as we're leaving, as we go past, I'm going to stop and look at the concierge and the chef and say, if I hear of anything happening to that family, well, let's just say you probably won't see me coming. All right.
They nod. The bouncer concierge. That shouldn't be a problem. They have behaved themselves. They have acted with dignity.
But what if they hadn't?
There is no response.
It was more rhetorical anyway. We'll take our leave.
So, with that in mind, quick fire round. What information do you want to gather?
I guess we want to know a good way in that doesn't take us past the patrols the Children of Ard are doing.
Sure.
I'm thinking rooftops. Love some rooftops.
Love me some rooftops.
Yeah.
So, who's doing that information gathering? Yeah, okay. That sounds like a survey.
Does it, though?
I would argue it does, if you're scouting things out.
Wouldn't I have to prowl around to do it?
I mean, you could, but you might not get all of the answers you want, so you can absolutely use prowl, but it sounds like it is a survey.
Fine, I'll push myself on a survey.
Okay.
Right. So plus 1d?
Yes.
Unless I want... Is it... What kind of roll is it?
It's neither. So if you click on the dice on the left, it's a gather information.
Oh, okay.
So, and then 2 dice.
Gather
total.
information, 2 dice. Okay.
This is a survey.
Oh gosh.
4.
It's
okay.
a 4.
So you get good details, clarifying and follow-up questions are possible.
Great.
So you, heading up to the rooftops, you have a quick look-see. So it's called Castle Antelier. It's more of a big stone mansion. It's somewhere between a mansion and a keep kind of thing. It's got a drawbridge, which the drawbridge itself is no more, leaving just kind of an open entrance through the front gate, in effect, into the castle grounds. But otherwise, there are spots to kind of scale the wall around the sides to get into what appear to be like the servant quarters on one side, the stables on the servant quarters on the south side of the grounds, the stables on the north side of the grounds, or you just go in through the west entrance, the main gate. Yeah. You've got clarifying or follow-up questions if you so wish.
It sounds quite exposed, potentially.
Going through the front door absolutely will be. You notice that there are now patrols, roaming patrols of Children of Ire. They mainly seem to be sort of they're keeping themselves to the streets, but you notice that if they happen to see sort of some of the squatters that live in Ivory kind of burning something to give themselves some warmth, then the Children of Ire rush in and hound them out.
God, okay.
But the more you also note there's a point where you see one group of them stop outside Cadwallader Manor. But you see them sort of conversing and talking to one another, and it would seem that Cadwallader Manor is in enough of a fit state of repair that they don't really fancy their chances of trying to kick people out, as opposed to the buildings that don't have a front wall. So they kind of pass Cadwallader Manor by. But yeah, if you go through the front door, you do risk being seen by the Children of Ire.
Okay.
If you go over the walls, it's less of a chance.
Does anyone else have a follow-up question about getting in?
Could we go in from the back?
So,
via the outside.
You could dip out through the veil, and then it would be an actual dash for life to... Because there comes a point, where there's effectively the the part of Elysia that is outside the veil is in itself a ring, right? Because a circular chunk of ground got thrown into the void. So there'd be enough kind of crumbly wall, like ruined wall. The back. So the front third is in the veil, and then, but only half the keep is still intact because the rest of it would have been lost.
Oh, it was ripped in half, was it?
Effectively, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you could absolutely do like a mad dash across the Deadlands, like the Dead Zone, hop the broken wall, and then like run back towards the west side of the keep to get back through the veil. That said, hands up, who has been through the veil in the past 2 years?
No.
Okay.
No one.
Absolutely not.
So there is a... Oh, yeah, go on.
Oh. No, you go first.
Oh, so there is a part of you that... A morbid part of you that wonders... Like, obviously, the veil has been exemplary in keeping spirits out. But is it just spirits it keeps out? You know that people have gone through the veil. I mean, Algernon, you would have heard Algernon Atta, actually, with your kind of gang, with your backgrounds, you know that some people who vanished were actually encouraged to step through the veil and not come back. But it's the coming back bit that is a bit of an unknown quantity. But it is an option.
It's an option.
So, Frida's wondering, there must have been people, if there's people that have gone through the veil, they must have made some sort of preparations, and also knowing that the Spectre, our lovely little, like, pub, is also where a lot of arcane contraband tends to flow through. You know, usually perpetuated by us. Is there anyone... is there anyone we could talk to kind of schmooze some gear off of that would maybe, you know, afford us some protection, even if it's just hypothetical? Ghost repellent. Well, yeah, ghost repellent, like armor, things like that.
The hollow... we found a diving suit in the hollows.
Oh, yes!
Oh,
that's so cool.
And bottles keep ghosts in, so there must be a way of reverse engineering ghost bottles to
just a big, like, what they called, like, zorb balls.
Yeah. We'll just go in giant hamster balls. It'll be totally incognito.
Yeah.
Frida, your idea... your question has legs. That sounds to me like a consort or sway to some of your, because you'll have like customers, patrons within the Spectre, because it's an arcane speakeasy, right? So there will definitely be people you can talk to. Who wants to step up to try and gather that information?
I could do that. I've got good consort and sway.
Okay. Yeah, pick one. And the 2 dice on the left gather information. If you're going consort, it's 2. If you're going sway, it's 1.
Yeah, let's do consort.
Okay.
Consort, gather information. Number of dice, 2. Sorry. Oh, nice!
That is
those rolls last session?
That's a crit.
5 pristine suits appear. Just in time.
Musto opens his jacket and he's just got 5 diving suits hanging on the inside.
And wearing nothing else.
Oh no!
Okay. So, you speak to... Okay, you get exceptional details. The information is complete and follow-up questions may expand into related areas or reveal more than you hoped for. So the person you're speaking to, who is a this sort of like Ace of Our Lady, who you've got like a number of potions for in the past. She tells you that there are protections to ward off spirits. They are usually, let me have a quick look. So there are such things as spirit bane charms, but she tells you that there is a way to fundamentally like supercharge them, and actually, if you want, she can like outfit you with some. Are there any follow-up questions? Like what follow-up questions would you want to ask off the back of it? Because you can definitely get like ghost repellent, if you will.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Guys, help on this. What follow-up questions do we need to ask? I'm still reeling from the double sixes.
Yeah.
How long can you like? Is it like a diving suit? Is it like timed?
Well, so she doesn't herself know about this kind of diving suit idea. Yeah, she shows you what is like the spirit bane charm. For us, it would be like it would look something like a dream catcher in a way, but at the center is Frida, you recognize it as a Wolfkin runestone. And Atta, you recognize that the stone itself is emitting this sort of like rather powerful abjuration type magic. But it seems much more powerful than the stock spirit bane charms that you might normally pick up, which would kind of deter a spirit, but not necessarily stop it from nomming on you. Fundamentally, you kind of get the feeling that she explains that this could be activated to outright repel like a ghost.
Right. How long will it work for? Like, how long have we got out there?
Well, so
what's its potency?
She mentions that, you know, a lot of there are obviously a lot of spirits just stuck to the side of the veil. But once you get past them, she ponders on it for a while, and then her eyes kind of fall on a lantern. Do you remember moths from before?
Aye, those little powdery winged things that would always bump themselves against lamps.
Yes. So you'd always see a lot of moths in the immediate vicinity of the lamp, and they're obviously around it as well. But it's an illusion of numbers because they're so concentrated on one spot. So if you can get past those initial spirits, theoretically, there aren't that many ghosts just lingering around. They would be drawn to the veil, mostly. So you're not going to be wading through ghosts every step of the way. I'm assuming you're discussing this with her as a very hypothetical, because she'd think you are absolutely batshit if you are actually going through the veil.
Okay. Let me assure you right now, we are absolutely 100% batshit insane, the lot of us. And Frida just shrugs with a bit of a self-satisfied smirk on her face.
Yeah, she looks a bit uneasy at that admittance. But yes, walking through the dead zone, the dead district, isn't in itself a death sentence. It's just if you draw the attention of ghosts, then no veil to stop them, kind of thing. But the vast majority of them are being fundamentally drawn to the veil, and Atta, you can verify that from what you saw of the through your soul sight goggles.
Okay.
Yes, she says like she's a bit queasy about the idea of you being actually batshit, but the spirit bane charms that she's made after she heard that horrible news about that lady that got attacked by the ghost up in Old Town a while back. Terrible stuff. Yeah, she's kind of she came into possession of these kind of powerful Wolfkin runes, and she's fashioned these spirit bane charms. She can sell you 5 for 2 coin. You rolled a double 6, 1 coin.
I was going to say, I was about to see if I could haggle, so good job. 5 vials for 1 coin.
So yeah, 5 spirit bane charms. Basically, they're super duper spirit bane charms for 1 coin.
I think we're going to have to do it, aren't we? Does mean it means getting into the things again, but who knows? Maybe we'll find something to loot and pawn off when we get there.
I mean, yeah, there could be a lot of good stuff that's been gone unclaimed in there.
Mm-hmm. Karen, you kind of get the impression now that you're in possession of the charm and you get to look at it. If we're putting on our D&D hats, it would be an effect similar to that of Turn Undead.
Right.
Okay. Does it have a number of charges on it? Or
well, she said it's a one and done.
It's a one and done. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It would always be residually a spirit bane charm, but you can kind of activate it to ghost to be gone.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So you've gotten lots of good gear. Any other info that anyone else wants to grab?
Yes.
Yes, Algernon.
So Algernon has a family connection with House Antalya via his mother, who was like a minor noble on the fringes of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also had experience with basically hunting them down in his job in the foreign service. So I was wondering if I could do a study on some of my family material or old work case files to know if there's any kind of juicy secrets or things we might find in the castle.
Okay, yeah. Your study is 2. So yeah, 2 dice on the left, 2 dice gather info.
Ooh, I won't sing a little song. Not quite 5. A crit, but that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. So you also get good details. Clarifying follow-up questions are possible. So you're thinking of additional bounty that you might find within the keep?
Yeah, like some kind of family secret heirloom that nobody ever found when House Antalya scattered. Something like that.
Your records show that when Lady Antalya was apprehended and sort of banished, there are reports that she did not have her crown, tiara, crown, circlet of authority, the circlet of Antalya, the crown of Antalya, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Which you would assume, therefore, means is still within the grounds. And you're, if nothing else, you're confident it would be something that hasn't been looted, given that it would be kind of protected in such a way that, given its importance, right? The chances of it being looted in the past 2 years are extremely low. So you have a good feeling. And Magpie you overheard that there's going to be a hidden vault that you're heading to. Perhaps this hidden vault is also where the crown is kept. If not, hidden vault's just naturally going to be full of all sorts of incredible stuff. And between glancing across the patrons of the Spectre, now that you're back in that kind of familiar speakeasy, there's going to be buyers, like black market buyers, that would be very interested in antiques that you may be able to procure. The one other thing I will offer as a follow-up, that Castle Antelier had a number of like crystalline golems as like a defense protector. Over the past 2 years, they will have puttered out, but like their hearts, their cores are still very powerful kind of arcane implements that you could also hawk. Anyone else for anyone else?
Roughly how old is Fort/Castle Antelier? Like, it's quite significantly old, right?
Hundreds and hundreds of years old, yeah.
How old did Sapphire Wizard Orb say that they were?
Wizard Orb, Mr. Wizard Orb.
Yeah.
Sure. Hundreds and hundreds of years old.
Okay. I would like to ask Wizard Orb if
Yes.
did we get pronouns for Wizard Orb? They know perhaps of the castle, because I guess if it was an important space and they were an important wizard, they may have been there, right? So I'm going to ask for any information. I'm going to go at it from as a student of the arcane, Mr. Wizard Orb. I would like to know everything that you know about the important details of Castle Antelier.
Well,
pertaining to the arcane.
I will interject and say that if you ask Safaran for all of the important details of the castle, I'll be there. Like, the score will be finished by the time he is.
The critical information.
The bullet points.
Yeah.
I'm writing an essay, and it can only be 5 pages long.
Sure. So he does harp on a bit.
I think the one of the most marvelous things that I remember of Castle Antelier is.
And you can almost picture this very stuffy, pointy-hatted wizard, like with a glass of brandy, as he regales you this information. The point that roll me, like, which of your skills did you want to use?
I'm angling for study because I ain't got no talkie power.
Sure. Yeah, by all means, give me a 2 dice. Gather information from the left-hand side.
2 dice from the left-hand side. Oh,
bam.
Yeah, I figured.
You get incomplete or partial information. He waffles for so long, and you kind of go down. When bombarded with a deluge of information, does Atta kind of fall down the rabbit holes, or does she fall asleep?
Sort of depends on the nature of his information. If it's about people and the things that he did and the people that he met, and not really much detail about the arcane, she falls immediately asleep.
Okay. So part of the problem that Safaran has is he's talking about the exciting arcane stuff, but then he keeps on kind of lapsing into like family lines, histories, sort of like civil unrest, disagreements at wedding parties, and so on and so forth. The one bit that you try to get clarification on, but he's just like, oh no, I have to make sure I remember this correctly, is he mentions that there are, like, some of the defenses of Castle Antelier include magical wards.
Okay.
And like glyphs and the like. But every time you get him to try and clarify on that, he chastises you for interrupting him because he's on a roll.
Oh dear.
I come away feeling very embarrassed and red-faced, as you do when you get scolded by a professor.
Okay. I think, unless there's any more, I believe. Okay, so real quick, what is your sort of like point of entry? How are you starting this?
I think we're going through the veil, right? Heading through the back.
From the same position, or are we splitting?
Presumably, if we go around the back, that means we've got to go through the veil, round, and then back through the veil. Right? Yep. So we're going to have to push through that wall of ghosts twice.
It's up to you. So, what your options are through the front gate.
No.
Over the north wall into the stable area, over the south wall into the servant area, or through the veil round the back, which would lead you directly into like the keep castle area.
May I make a pitch for how to cover if we're going through the veil rather than just like a mad dash? So it's somewhat common knowledge, it seems, that people get encouraged through the veil. Can we maybe have a somewhat backup plan that we play act that happening? Which may... I don't know which factions encouraged people through the veil. We're not sure.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if we know, but...
I think you might be onto something here.
It's the chain bearers that are doing it.
Chain bearers, yeah. At least
You know, we've supposedly got an assassin on our heels.
Have you?
Oh, we don't know.
We don't know that.
No, we don't actually know.
We don't have a clue.
Oh, never mind. Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
You're
going to try and push him out into the
veil. Also, I would, from memory, the factions that are sending people out into the veil for things was in an elsewhere pitch rather than conversation.
Okay. So we just think we're mad buggers doing this for the first time. Well, not for the first time, but
I think we've overheard that people are going out outside of the veil, but that's as far as we know to collect arcane stuff. But that's as far as we know.
Yeah. So the idea of like for better or worse, I don't think you would have actually met anyone who has come back. But you've certainly heard of people that have gone through. So yes. Question for the gang. What is your angle of approach?
Runaway car? Straight through the veil?
Yeah, let's go through the veil. Let's because no one's gonna follow us, are they?
I believe that one of the options is arcane, right? I guess we would call this arcane.
Yeah, that's good.
Occult. Big pardon, it'd be an occult. You're engaging a supernatural power fundamentally by hurling yourself through the veil. Okay, so in which case, we will snap cut to are all five of you going to be on site, or are some of you staying behind as the person in the chair? Okay.
I'm going to be in the chair. I think I have a little shopping list of things that I can do in flashback or...
Sure. With the earring to keep in touch?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So, who is standing at the front of the four of you on the edge of the veil? Like on just south of the south wall of Castle Antelia.
After you've been wanting to see what's out there for a long time, would you like to do the honors?
Just like vibrating. Very, very Umi style.
Bless her.
Okay, yeah. I will. I'm going to quickly clear out everyone's loadout. We're going to, because I'm actually going to ask this. What loadouts is everyone taking? So starting with Magpie.
Light.
So you've got light. Atta?
I think oh, sorry, Magpie, do you want to...
I was wondering if I could have acquired a new silence potion. Since...
Yeah, because that's zero. I think it's 0.
Yeah, it's 0 load. Yeah.
So you're going light. Yeah, Atta?
I think I'm going to go normal, because if we find good stuff, I want space for stuff, and if I can have some ooky spooky stuff, I suppose, so normal.
Okay. Algernon, for what it matters?
Stick with normal.
Okay, normal for Algernon. Catherine?
I think I'm going to go for light. I'm going to stick to light.
Light for Catherine. And Frida?
I think...
Load her up!
Frida, yeah, I think Frida's going to go heavy for this one, you know?
Yeah.
Frida's going to pile on her stuff.
Okay, dokie.
Well equipped.
Okay, in which case, you've all got your load ups. So, is this operation particularly bold or daring? You are jumping through the veil, so I'm going to say yes.
Yay!
It's easy.
Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit it where they're weakest? I'm going to also argue yes, because Nephane has given you like the keys to the keep. Fundamentally, she's told you she doesn't know where, but she's told you how to bypass the final defense as and when you find it. So I'm going to say yes. Okay. Can any of your friends or contacts provide insight or aid for this operation? I'm going to say no. Okay. Are there any enemies or rivals interfering with this operation? Yes. The children of Aya are prowling, looking for any excuse. Are there any other elements you want to consider? I would say that your charms are giving you protection against some of the dangers in there. So that would give you +1, and then counterbalance it by you didn't manage to find out what the defenses or all of the defenses of the keep was. So I'm going to retract that to leave you with a +1 dice. So Atta, can I please have a 2 dice engagement roll, please?
Is that the bottom left?
Yeah, far left side. Engagement, 2 dice.
Okay, there you go.
You saw the 1, but that is a 5. You're in a risky position when the action starts. So, in which case, as the 4 of you look to one another, who's holding hands with someone else?
What?
Just as you step through the veil that's been keeping you alive for the past 2 years, who's holding hands with someone else? Okay, you can go on your own. You can each go. Yeah, that's fine. As you plunge yourself through the veil, let's have a quick break. Cool. If you enjoyed that, make sure to hit the like button and comment down below on
who's gonna die?
Who's going to be toasted first?
Who's going to be toasted first? Comment below on how long you could go without eating poultry. And if you're not a meat eater, then you've won the game. But yes, if you want to see how this job goes on, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications of when we release new content, because that's happening very frequently. We wouldn't want you to miss out. That would make us very sad, and they will make these lot very sad because there won't be an audience for any upcoming demises. So thank you for watching, thank you for playing. See you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.